The government has asked Twitter and YouTube to take down two controversial ads by a body spray ban. This is something that has sparked a huge controversy. These ads essentially glorify rape culture. Now, the government has asked for these ads to be taken down after the Advertising Standards Council of India, the ASCI, found these ads in serious breach of their code. This after there was a huge storm on social media with several users raising objections to these ads. Both the controversial ads are in different settings and essentially show young boys asking crude questions insinuating rape. The ads have been telecast on television. They've been all over YouTube and Twitter. The ad watchdog has now suspended the two ads pending an investigation. The question that we're asking on the show tonight is, where does the buck really stop with these sick ads? Is there a body that clears the ads like there is a film certification board? Is there something for ads, or is it just a free-for-all? At the end of the day, is there a body that's actually looking into what is going on air and what is going on social media, or is it just being left to the creative discretion of the agency and the brand involved? Also, is a takedown of these already viral ads which everyone has really seen, is a takedown enough? And where at the end of the day does the buck really stop? Those are some of the questions that we'll pose to our panel of experts joining us on Left, Right and Centre tonight. We have Dilip Cherian, founder of Perfect Relations, Harish Bijur, a brand expert, Dr. Ranjana Kumari, who's also a board member of the Advertising Standard Council of India and a women's rights activist, PKD Nambiar, a political analyst and also somebody who works very closely in the communication space, and Monica Manchanda, who is a chef and culinary expert. She's also a writer, and she's somebody who has actually tweeted about this particular ad today. Thank you all very much for joining us. Dilip Cherian, to you first. I'll begin with the question that's been asked on social media the most today. Who's responsible for finally putting these ads on air? The fact that this ad was telecast during, a very popular cricket match, the fact that it's been all over YouTube and Twitter and social media handles, it's been circulated on WhatsApp. Where does the buck really stop? Who's finally responsible for clearing this? Is there anybody responsible?
Yes, as somebody who's been on the Advertising Standards Council a couple of terms, and I'm very happy to see Ranjana here who's currently on it, let me say the buck stops, unfortunately, with nobody. The buck does not stop with the Advertising Standards Council because it can only blow the whistle after there is a consumer complaint. And it can also take notice of it on its own, but that happens less frequently, and I'm delighted to see that it's happened now and that they have taken action, and it is terrific that there is an interim order. Has the damage been substantial? The answer is yes, there has been substantial damage. Unfortunately, the business of advertising is not, like people are asking on Twitter and on social media, like that of films, because you cannot have a situation where a film is made, sent for certification, and then the ad is aired. So there is a huge gap at this point of time, and this is a gap that we don't really have an answer to be able to satisfy everyone. The advertising and the consumer industry has short deadlines. They want campaigns out, and they want campaigns out during high visibility times. The real answer is to find the organizations who produce these kind of offending things, because that is the only way that will work. And just like we have awards being celebrated everywhere for great creative advertising, I think we need to pillory the ones who are causing damage to society, and this is simply unacceptable.
Harish Bijur, as unacceptable as it is, as somebody who understands brands really well, as far as the brand is concerned, this has been a winning campaign, hasn't it? I mean, it's created this huge stir. I would say it's raised a huge stink, and these ads are absolutely despicable. I mean, one really wonders what the sensibility of the creator will be. But the truth is that the campaign has, it's gone viral. I mean, it's been taken down now, but the message, this very disturbing message, has already percolated in a certain sense, hasn't it?
Absolutely, Rishika. If you really look at this piece of advertising, if I can call it that, The client is dead on sensitivity, social sensitivity. Forget the client. There are many layers out here, and I'm pun intended. The second layer is the advertising agency. The advertising agency is dead on social sensitivity again. The broadcaster is dead. So many people involved out here. If you really look at it, this is a genre of advertising which I will typically call spit and run advertising. Because what it does is it achieves its impact. Look at it. The brand is on NDTV tonight, and that's big for them. It achieves mileage, editorial mileage. It achieves digital viral status because you pull it out, it still goes around. Twitter is equally responsible for this. YouTube is responsible. What's the solution? I have one simple solution. You must not only withdraw the advertising, you must undo. You must withdraw the brand altogether. Deregister the brand completely.
Right.
Make sure the brand is never sold in this country because, otherwise this sets an example for many others to do the same thing, get mileage and sell without advertising.
Well, it's a shoot and scoot, isn't it? Like you said. And I think some of the points that you raised in terms of action being taken against the creator, against the brand, is really what is going to send out a strong message. Dr. Ranjana Kumari, as a women's rights activist and as somebody who's on the board for the Advertising Standard Council, how do you look at this? And you were on a show with us just yesterday on NDTV when we were talking about the horrific gang rape case in Hyderabad.
Yes.
And today we're debating an ad that's essentially glorifying rape culture. I mean, this is unthinkable.
Well, let me first say something about the ad. It came to our notice very late because I was not watching the match. And also that when it was brought to our notice, immediately the council acted and immediately the signals were sent. And then, it was escalated. And then, of course, finally, the orders to withdraw the ad came. But it has done the damage. There is no doubt about that. So let me go back to Dileep's point. Dileep has already said that there is no way to really, look at these ads before they are aired. And also a responsibility of the people who are responsible for airing this ad, whether it is Twitter. And I'm sorry that I'm also on the Trust and Safety Council of Twitter, International Council of Twitter. But, somehow this just missed the, opportunity to really look at this and what really happened. So I really sometimes feel that, the damage has been done. And even if we are acting now, then I think everybody needs to be punished because under the law, it is criminal offense. It is voyeuristic. And when you look at the sexual assault law, it does bring voyeurism within the ambit of the law. So I think there is immediately, there has to be a kind of criminal case on the people who have advertised, on the brand, on the people who have aired this kind of advertisement, because this is totally unacceptable, especially at a time and in our country when we are dealing with gang rapes. And, messaging like that indirectly doubles.
Clearly what all of you in a certain sense are saying is that more needs to be done. Just taking this ad down and saying that, look, pending an investigation, we'll figure out what to do isn't enough. PKD Nambiar, as a political analyst, as somebody who, supports the BJP and somebody who understands the communication space, what more can really be done? Is it time perhaps to sanitize, vet ads before they go on air, before they go on social media? I mean, is that even realistically possible? Because this is a free space. I mean, anybody can upload anything on YouTube. There are no checks and balances in place. But this is an ad that has gone on TV as well.
Rishika, you said it actually. The reason being that you cannot have some kind of a regulation on advertisements because these are in millions. How many of the advertisements you can get go through a censor board or anything?
But all the more reason, don't you think that stricter action needs to be taken and needs to be taken in a time-bound fashion, so you're at least sending out a message saying this is not okay?
Now, but I'll tell you, there are precedents which is already there. For an example, YouTube, or even for that matter, some of the social media handles. I also run a digital agency. They go through an approval. So unless and until an ad gets an approval, so they may have say about 20 or a 30 or 100 checklist. If they go through, then only it gets published. But the problem right now is that it's much more larger. There are today's generation feels that the communications can be in any language of the private languages can be a communication in the public domain. And that also, as I think you said, or Dilip ji said, that you wanted to have an instant gratification, instant result. You want everything to be viral without even having the basic understanding of communication and advertising. The very purpose of advertising is also gets defeated. So both as the brand, of course, they don't understand the communication. The communication agency, whomsoever has created this an advertisement, they are absolutely blind and mental. They need to be sent to an asylum because they don't understand the culture of India. So knowingly or unknowingly, there is an industry self-regulation is required. You don't require to go and preach everybody. How many creative people?
No, but the question here is, I want to get in a quick reaction from Monica, and then the question that I want to pose to all of you is, what more needs to be done? Is just taking this ad down enough? Because, I think we all acknowledge the fact that taking an ad down in today's digital age means nothing. It's still going to exist. It's going to be on people's phones. It's going to be on people's timelines. They're still going to have access to it. So the job as far as the ad agency of proliferating the message is done. But Monica, I want to bring you in here because I think you put out a very important message today on social media when you said that this is an ad essentially that plays on the fears of millions of women. And that's what makes it absolutely disgusting. There is a very clear insinuation of rape in both those ads that have gone viral.
And like you said, and when I saw the ad first, though, in spite of the fact that I knew this is an ad and nothing, they're not going to show the rape in the ad. At least that much confidence I had in the ad industry, though I don't know whether I should have or not. There was a moment I felt the real fear. And it's an open challenge to anyone to find a woman who saw the ad and didn't flinch. Because all of us felt that fear. Right. And it was so difficult, it was so heartbreaking to see an ad agency actually cashing on that fear. And if you actually closely observe the emotions of the woman in the ad, of the girl in the ad, it go from fear and then almost chiding herself. Absolutely. When she thinks, oh, what did she think? So this actually is even a deeper problem, because I feel that the people who are creating the ad knew exactly what we are doing and still went ahead and played on the fear. And that is what is most disturbing here. And like everybody else said, that just simply banning the ad is not enough. We have to hold people responsible from top to bottom on who approved the ad, who aired the ad. Sony, and I understand everybody talking about digital space and not being able to...
But while one is all for creative freedom, and we know that there is no agency in place here that's actually vetting these ads. I think that's something that's been made clear. Dilip Cherian, does the culpability or at least some level of responsibility rest with the medium that's airing this ad? Should YouTube and Twitter have better mechanism to sanitize? Did the channel that put this ad on air during a sports match, should they perhaps have had better presence of mind to do otherwise or know better?
I think, as Mr. Nambiar and Mr. Bijur said, this is despicable, and Ranjana has shared my anxiety about the speed at which any organization can respond. My simple answer is one: fine them to death. That is, charge them such a heavy fine that no brand, no agency will attempt to violate the rules of civility and decency. All those norms, as Monica said, have been violated here. It is an entire sex that has been violated.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that small fines will work. You need to have such a hefty fine that the agency is in the dock and has to actually extract money from the client for actually producing such pathetic and despicable work.
Ranjana
That's my
Kumari,
short answer.
You wanted to come in.
Yes, I just wanted to say two things. One, of course, about this ad, and I think totally that they should be punished, fined. There should be a charge sheet on them. It cannot be just you ban the ad and the matter is over. Tomorrow somebody else comes with, worse than this. And also, if there are millions or billions of ads, doesn't matter. You cannot violate the rights and dignity, and also you cannot openly promote and propagate rape. Can you do that? Can you do in this country or anywhere in the world? So if that is the situation, then you really have to act. Now, second thing is I just wanted to talk about ASCI, that we have come up with a very good gender, and women related guidelines for the industry. Now, of course, it will be voluntary because we can't impose those guidelines on the industry, but we have come up. There was a big study which has looked at what is happening with
let
women.
Let me just hold you to that thought.
This will be released.
Does that need to be enforced? Does this code, and in a short while from now we'll be joined.
To be given to some agency to
do in a short while from now, Subhash Kamath, the chairman, will also be with us, and I'm going to ask this to him as well. But is this what is absolutely essential at the moment? I mean, the fact that there needs to be something which is enforced. There has to be a code of ethics that you abide by, and if you don't abide by it, then you will be held accountable in a court of law, or you will be eligible for hefty fine.
Rishika, if you really look at it, the advertising industry does not want pre-certification. It is not necessary for a country of this size. The advertising, industry today has only a kind of a post view which comes through ASCI. Okay, and ASCI is only a regulatory body. It is, to that extent, it is not a judicial body. It cannot implement a lot of things which possibly bodies in other countries can. And therefore, adding a little more teeth to ASCI might be a necessity. Last point is, there are three kinds of penalties that can happen. The first one is what the government is suggesting, withdraw the advertising. I don't think that's enough. The second is what I have just suggested, which is to say, pull the brand out totally, deregister. Now, that is something realistic thing to do because, then you bite the company, you bite layer,
you have to hit them where
and
it
you
hurts.
tell everybody else.
If you want to send out a message, you have to hit them where it hurts.
Honestly, we have to hold
Rishika,
the agency accountable too, apart from just the brand.
Let me complete a third point. The third point is, undoing the harm, which is rectification of harm. Because sociologically speaking, psychologically speaking, this brand has actually harmed the psyche of a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Like Ranjana put it correctly. And correcting that is completely essential. So, the rectification of harm is the third step. Now, that is a very expensive proposition for the brand to do. But, I think we need to take stern, firm, clear action.
Well, stern, firm, clear action. And if we have
Rishika,
a code of ethics in place when it comes to smoking and when it comes to nudity, I mean, we do enforce what we need to. So why can't we go ahead and, condemn something, pull down something and punish organizations that have been behind this absolutely horrifying set of ads that have done nothing except for glorify rape culture. It is a story that we will continue to track, and one sincerely hopes that some of the very important suggestions that you all have made on the show today are actually taken into consideration. I'm afraid I'm completely out of time. Thank you all very much for joining us, but I do have a very special guest. Joining me now is Subhash Kamath, the chairperson of the Advertising Standard Council of India. Let's listen into what he has to say about this entire controversy. Well, joining us is Mr. Subhash Kamath. He's the chairperson of the Advertising Standards Council of India. Thanks very much for being with us on NDTV. You've now gone ahead and suspended these objectionable ads, pending an investigation. But I'd like to begin by asking you, what really is the SOP for approval of such an ad in the first place? I mean, how was this ad even cleared to begin with?
There is no pre-approval process that the industry follows. It is between the advertiser and the creators, whether it's their agency or the creative team or whoever has done the ad. There is no pre-approval. It is really responsibility is left to the marketeer to follow a certain code of conduct, right? So it's not that an ad is sent for pre-approval and then made. Having said that, ASCI, the Advertising Standards Council of India, does offer a separate service called the Advertising Advice, where all our members are welcome to send their work, their campaign before it is produced, to ASCI so that we can do a check and indicate if it is any violation or not, right? And this is a service that we provide. It is not a pre-guarantee in any way. You can still always have somebody from the public objecting to an ad. which is their fundamental right. But we can certainly point out, it's in a manner of due diligence, whether there is a potential risk in this idea or not. This particular ad, we did not even wait for the normal process of complaints addressal. We have sent a notice immediately because it is in such a large, blatant violation of the code, especially in today's social context. It's absolutely disgusting. So we sent it to them immediately, suspend the ad. You can then continue to send in your explanation and the investigation will continue as to why it was done. But immediately that ad has to be taken off. We also informed the government, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. We've informed the media about our point of view. We did not even wait for the normal complaint redressal process on this one, simply because it was such a blatant violation.
So you're essentially saying that the Advertising Standards Council is not a regulatory body per se, so it's not like this ad was cleared by anybody in the first place. So is there absolutely no sanitization protocol when it comes to putting up an ad like that? Because this is an ad that has gone on TV and then it went viral on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. It is expected that the advertisers and the industry are responsible people. Like I said, these are very exceptional cases when something like this happens. Now, what the reasons are for this ad to have been done in this particular way in today's context, I really don't know. That is something that the advertiser has to answer for, right? But we do not, there is no pre-approval process followed by the advertising industry, right? It is left to the advertisers and their partners to follow the code of conduct, and that's what self-regulation is about.
So it's essentially
but yes, like I said, we do offer a service where any member can send us their campaign, and we would be able to tell them whether it's right or wrong.
But they have the option whether or not they want to access that
it's not a mandate.
Yeah. Right. So it's essentially up to the brand and to the agency that is creating the ad. They are essentially culpable or, held responsible for content like this. The government has asked Twitter and YouTube to take down this ad. I believe this ad has also been taken down, by television. But where does the buck really stop? Because the buck can't stop with Twitter and YouTube. That's just a medium of propagating the ad. Surely there has to be questions asked to the creators.
Of course. No question about that. But for now, the first thing is to make sure that this ad does not run anymore. I think that's the first step, right? And then all the conversations will happen, all the investigations will happen, and typically even the advertiser is given a chance to speak his or her point of view as to why it was done or what was their intention. We also will be needing to see if this is a one-off violation that was misinterpreted, or is there a continuing consistent violation going on. So all of that will have to get seen into.
Well, absolutely. And, you're also going to be carrying out, some kind of an investigation, presumably, before a final decision is taken on what happens with this ad. As somebody who understands this space and the influence that, a perfume ad like that would hold on especially the youth, how troubled are you by what we've seen? I mean, it's not one ad, it's two different ads. And as you said in your opening comments, it's absolutely disgusting that this was ever allowed to air or ever created in the first place.
Yeah, I've been in this business for 35 years. Right? I've worked on some of the best brands in the country. I continue to do so. So if I take my advertising ASCI chairman's hat off for a few minutes and speak as an advertising professional, I'm absolutely shocked that any advertiser would resort to this kind of an advertisement in today's context, especially when there is so much of conversation about how women are being portrayed, the sensitivity about the topic, the horrendous rape cases that are going on in the country and news all the time. Given all of that, why would anyone in his right mind choose to do an ad like this? I mean, it is blatantly disgusting, insensitive, I would say, and completely against the norms of what anyone in this society would, that's my personal feeling, right? So as an advertising professional, I feel it's an absolutely terrible, terrible thing to do.
Well, I'm glad that you've taken cognizance because, the government has also swung into action. This ad is being taken down pending an investigation, and one sincerely hopes that a strong message is sent out because this, like you very rightly said, is absolutely disgusting. There's no other way or no other word to describe these two ads that have gone on air. Thank you very much for speaking with NDTV.
Thank you so much.